Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of the podcast. It's February 4th, 2022. And today's topic we're going to be discussing is gaming and NFTs, how it relates to the gaming industry, and what cool things you can do with it, how you can get invested, and how you can make money from it. But before we get to that, a little bit of market update. So it looks like crypto has been rebounding, that the altcoins are leading the way. Bitcoin's back up 10%, which is great news. The biggest factor we'll see is whether or not this is the start of another bull run, or is this just a dead cat bounce in a bear market that is yet to be seen. But those are the things we'll be watching. So, Andrew, what have you seen in the market?
Um, well, fun article I read. So this one's from CNBC. They're saying that a poll they took that 33% of Americans said that they would be more likely to go on a date with someone who mentioned crypto assets in their online dating profile. So the reason why they think that is just because it shows financial stability or financial savviness when it comes to digital currencies.
So, Andrew, how many NFTs do you have listed in your dating profile?
I'm none. I don't believe in NFTs.
Oh, come on, man. Don't say that.
No.
All right. That's fascinating, actually. Could you imagine just putting it's like, hey, I own 15 NFTs from this collection. And it's like, oh, I'm interested.
Well, they're supposed to be talking about digital currencies, but other digital assets like NFTs are also desirable. And nearly 20% of singles who would be interested in you romantically if you set up an NFT as your profile picture. Sorry, hold on, let me re-say that. Nearly 20% of singles would be more interested in you if you're in you romantically if you had an NFT as your profile picture on a dating platform or a dating app.
Well,
So
that's awesome. So I'm gonna mint a bunch of NFTs of myself. And if you want to go on a date, you have to buy this NFT, I guess. Just
yeah,
joking.
well, until everyone else reads this article and everyone starts doing it, so we'll see.
Yeah, interesting though. Fascinating.
Well, think about it. If you're swiping left and right or whatever on Tinder, and the person had a bored ape as their profile picture, you might look into their profile a little bit to see if they actually own it or is that just a copy.
That is true. It would definitely catch my eye. That's all I can say.
Because what's that worth? A couple $100,000, right?
Oh yeah, board apes are I think the most aren't they the most expensive NFTs right now?
As a series, possibly not. I'm
Yeah,
not 100% sure. If not the most expensive, then it's up there.
yeah, it's in the top 10% for sure. Anything else you've seen on the news?
Uh, there was an article that I want to get into about NFT gaming, but I'll let you finish up if you have anything else that's not related to NFT gaming.
That's I think we should jump into it. There wasn't much activity this week in terms of big articles, so I'll leave the floor to you.
Okay, so I came across this article on Reason TV or Reason.com, and it was talking about a NFT game called Axie. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's AXIE Infinity, and it's a game developed by what's the name of the developer? I think it's called Sky Mavis. And so the concept of the game is very similar to Pokemon. If you ever played Pokemon, the difference being though is that instead of starting off with three Pokemon, I think back in the day when I used to play, did you ever play the game back in the day? The first set, red, blue, yellow.
Oh, of course I did. I even have one right now on GBA ROM playing it on my computer. So
I think you used to start off with you get one character, right? You get a what is it like a little baby Charizard or Charmander or something?
I think it's a Charmeleon, if I recall correctly, or Charmander. No, it's Charmander, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle. Those were the three starting Pokemon.
Yeah, so in Pokemon you get your free Pokemon that one of the three free options that the game has programmed in there, and then you go out there and you battle and you win more and you work your way up. The way that Axie Infinity works is that you start off with, I believe, you need three characters or three monsters, or what do they call them in this game? I'll call them characters. So you need three of these little characters to start to play at all. But instead of getting them for free, you have to buy them as NFTs. And at the height, I think that would have cost you, it might have cost you $100 or more just to kind of get into the game. But why would someone pay so much to play this game as opposed to all the other free games that you can possibly get on your phone out there? The reason why is you can earn money, or at least earn in-game currency by playing. And at the height of it, when the in-game currency, which is called SLP, when SLP was at its height, it was about 40 cents US. So if you were playing at a time where it was, say, 35 cents per SLP, and you're playing let's say 3 hours a day, you could be making 75 US dollars per day by playing for 3 hours a day. And you would earn that by one of two ways. You can do your kind of like a daily adventure mode, and then also by participating in these battles. So there's different ways to earn SLP. And if you're playing this at 8 hours a day, you could actually be making a living doing this. Now, I had only heard about this game when the article came out a day or two ago. And I think, and I'm not surprised I haven't heard of it, because apparently only 6% of Axie Infinity players lived in the United States. The majority of players were playing out of, I think 40% of all players were based out of the Philippines, and the second highest concentration of players were in Venezuela. And what's interesting about that is that both countries have, I guess, they don't have the highest GDP. So in the Philippines, the per capita GDP is about 3,300 US a year. And I don't know what it is for Venezuela. It's maybe a little hard to calculate because they're suffering from hyperinflation. So what they would do would the American players, or the players from richer countries, they would put in their own money to buy these NFT creatures, and they would loan them out to the players in the Philippines and Venezuela, where they would have those players play for several hours out of the day, and then they would split the take of the SLP earned. So the players from the poorer countries would take, let's just say, 70%, and the Americans would take 30%. And the reason why this deal works is because the barrier to entry was high relatively for people from that country. Now, had I known, if I had known about this, I'd probably be playing this. I would have been playing this game all day, probably 12 hours a day. But it's no longer worth it, because SLP has dropped down to, I think it's down to a penny or so, down from a height of 40 cents. So if you're playing for 3-4 hours a day, you might only be making a little bit over $2 US a day. Or still, depending on how many hours you play, the value of SLP has dropped so much that it's not really worth your time anymore. And so this whole article illustrates the downside, or some of the problems facing some types of NFT games. And it's that the whole game economy is driven by people playing to earn the in-game currency and then to sell it on an exchange. No one's doing it because they believe in the game, or they think it's particularly fun, or they want to collect any of the characters or anything like that. So the bulk of the players were from developing countries that were poorer countries. They play all day, and as soon as the money is earned, or the in-game currency is earned, they go onto an exchange and then they just sell it. So the only thing that was keeping the price of the coins high was investors on the exchanges, who were speculating that this game and games like this would have a lot of value in the future, whereas the game was suffering from hyperinflation, because it's not just that the players are earning SLP while playing. That was generating more SLP into the system. So you're getting more and more coins in circulation, and all of it was just being sold on the exchanges. And the only thing keeping the price up was new speculative investors hoping that the price of the coin would go up further.
Interesting. That's clearly a poorly designed system, right? Because so the investors are buying these, but everyone else is selling. So obviously, when you're playing more and more and more, you have more coins in the system. So in order for this economy to have worked, they had to have introduced some kind of burning mechanism where when you sell, you lose a certain percentage to keep the supply in check, because or they should create a fixed supply. So there's
They,
clearly an issue.
so there was a burning system where you would use a certain amount of SLP to breed your I keep wanting to say Pokemon, but breed your creatures. So if you had two creatures and you wanted to make baby creatures, it would cost you a certain amount of SLP to have them make an offspring. And I think there's also a cap on how many offspring each monster can produce. So there's other like in-game mechanics, but it's just the ratios were all out of whack. The amount of people that were actually breeding was far less than those who were just trying to earn the SLP and then just sell it on an exchange. And I don't know what the solution would be to at least for this game. I don't know how if they can ever fix the issues with this game's economy before people move on to another. And so that's what the article was saying, that this whole model, you have the people who lend NFTs and then the people from poorer countries who actually play the game and are essentially it's almost like mining, right? It's like they're farming the coins. They go into a game, they do this, and it's great for a while. And when the currency collapses, they move on to another game and start the cycle all over again.
It's interesting because a game like a Pokemon-ish game, you could write a AI to play the game for you, so you don't even need human players if you really wanted to. That'd also be an interesting way. So even if it is at a penny, you could still make some money doing that. So that'd be
Perhaps.
another option. But like I said, if this project is being abandoned, then that isn't worth it. But yeah, game economies are hard to balance. I know when I took a course in university, it involved designing like a game economy, and it's very hard to keep track of it because it gets out of whack very quickly. So if the rewards are too many to offer, when you buy these upgrades, you could potentially, blow through all the upgrades within one level. Or like for example, if it's too difficult to make money, then people don't want to play. So it's a fine line, and especially when you add in the NFT factor, it gets even more complicated because now you have a like basically a marketplace where you can sell assets for real dollars. Plus, you have to balance the rewards that are generated in the game. So it's probably going to take some time until a company or a team perfects how to successfully develop these economies. And I know a bunch of other companies. I know Ubisoft's introducing a system into their new game, but a lot of them are doing slow increments because they don't want to take that massive risk of breaking the game's economy, because then no one's going to play, as we've seen right now. So I think one important thing they should take into account is there should be a way where I can quote unquote stake my money within the gaming universe to generate some kind of reward. It could be another NFT, it could be something, because you don't want this money to leave this ecosystem. That's how you're going to preserve its value. So all these gaming companies, and if any gamers who are interested in developing games using NFTs, make sure that the money is kept in the ecosystem. That's how it'll generate the value. Because look at Ethereum. It has this base layer and all these other projects that use it. So there's a lot of money circling around in this specific network. So that's the key to successful NFT based game. And especially if you develop a currency along it, you have to keep the supply within your own network.
Interesting. Have you come across any games that are similar to this, like a RPG style game that where people can earn rewards by playing?
RPG, no, because RPG games are massive to develop, right? Imagine a perfect example game like Skyrim. It took like 5 or 6 years to make. So because of this NFT boom recently, we'll probably see like really good RPGs probably in the next 3 to 4 years, I imagine at the least. We might see some indie developers within 3 years, but it's definitely going to take a long time to filter down, because it's not like, just like you said, of putting a Pokemon game which you can do in a year or 6 months. These games involve a lot more work.
What about simple RPGs that are kind of, Pokemon style graphics?
Yeah, there has been some. There's been a Minecraft game, like an unofficial one. It's been called Blockverse, and it also generated. I'm just reading from this article. They sold around 10,000 NFTs priced at 0.05 Ethereum, and they made around $1.2 million in this game. However, the same problem right here is that they claimed that it was all legitimate, and basically what happened is they burned through that 1.2 million in that game. And because all the people who bought into this, I think the game is actually called Block First. That's what they called it exactly. And this money disappeared because what did it do? These developers bought it to finance this game. However, the server fees and all these secondary sales being made on the market dropped this NFT's value to zero because no one wanted it, because this game was basically crap, to say the least. So when these developers came back, a lot of people were angry, right? They're like, we want our money back. This is not what was promised. And a lot of people started DDoSing them, harassing them on the internet. So that's another thing with NFT games. They could be scams. So I'm not saying that this Block First is a scam, but it definitely looks like a scam.
Yeah, so before investing too much money into a game, try to outplay for a while, and because I know with the Axie Infinity game, there's other parts of the games being sold as NFTs, rare monsters and land. I think someone bought a piece of Axie Infinity land for $2 million, even though that part of the game wasn't active yet. It was something that was coming in the future, and and so who knows what the future of the game is, because with this new revelation that the vast majority of players were just essentially farming the game for cryptocurrency. It's hard to say what the future is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So just another update on this. So think about this. It sold out in 8 minutes, this Block First game. But just a couple of days later, the project's creators deleted their website, Discord server, and game server and disappeared with the money. What does that seem like to you, Andrew? Clearly, it seems like a scam, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's another thing. Well, we keep warning everyone in crypto. There's a ton of scams in this place. So make sure to be very careful how you're investing your money, especially if you're putting a large sum. You don't want to be losing that money, just to say the least. But going back to your real estate thing, I was reading in a Facebook group, because like as many people know, me and Andrew are real estate investors. So there's actually some people inquiring, hey, I bought a piece of land in the metaverse. How can I hire someone to build and design a house for me? And I found that fascinating because this is like a real life real estate group, like a physical one. They're asking for developers to design a digital house so they can build in the metaverse and sell it or rent it. So what are your thoughts on that? I find that fascinating.
These people aren't joking, right? They're not just trying to
No,
troll.
they're not joking. They're legitimately looking for people.
Well, interesting. I don't know enough about the various platforms in terms of what the in-game tools are like. Are some of them like Minecraft, where you can just drag and drop and kind of build things, or
Some of them are drag and drop. Some of them you have to use software like Maya to generate 3D rendering models of these buildings. So it really depends on the game itself. But I find it fascinating that these people are actually like, hey, I want to build a house. I just bought this plot of land for like 100,000. I want to build a house. And I'm like, that's so interesting.
can you please reach out to these people and tell them we'll do it? We'll give it a shot.
Absolutely. I'll reach out to them next time. But that's my point is there's a lot of interest in this space, right? Where even real life real estate developers are like, hey, I want to actually build a house in this metaverse.
I think depending on which metaverse world you're looking at, it's a little unclear, what the value will be there. I know we talked about this a little bit in the metaverse episode we had a while back, but I think Christie's auction house, they bought a piece of land. I'm not sure if they bought it in, I think they bought it in crypto voxels, and then they built a NFT showroom in there. So, you could definitely build some things that have, I guess, I don't know, museums or uh, things that show art. but I'm not sure what you would do with the house that you built.
Oh, you would rent it out to someone. That's what you would do, right? Or you would sell it and flip it. So it really depends on what people want to do. Because I assume some people are like, hey, I don't want to buy a plot of land to design a house. I'd rather just buy a house that's already there, right? So
Yeah, I'm just trying to wrap my mind around the economy of it though. I understand the speculation, but if you rent it to someone, what are they going to do with it?
I don't know, maybe have parties in there, invite friends over, who knows? Decorate it, buy fridges, buy couches, put a pool table in. I don't know.
I guess it would have to be competitive, or it would have to be somewhat more unique than just like the areas that anyone can go into, like the free roam areas. So if it was like, there's a door, it's private and only certain people based on invitation can come in, I guess I can see it.
It'd be also pretty cool. Another business opportunity for people creating prefab houses that you can just recreate and reuse. Because I think what people are doing now is making custom built houses. But hey, if you want to maximize your money, maybe you should make a prefab and just keep selling it as you buy plots of land, kind of like what they do in real life.
I have 3D rendering software experience, so I think I can make something. It's just a matter
Perfect.
of if let's we gotta assess the demand for this, and also to see if it's worth our time.
Anyone who owns a plot of land in the metaverse, reach out to Andrew or me, reach out to the show. We'll work on it. We'll figure out how to build a house for you.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, we should give people an update. Do we have a date for the metaverse fashion show?
I think it's next month, but we'll definitely have an update. We can make a post about it.
Okay. Um. I don't. I think it's March 24th to 27th. So we're still about getting almost 2 months away. So still a little bit of time. Just wanted to let everyone know we're so interested in that, and we'll be attending, and we'll get every guest we've had to try to come with us.
Yeah, it'll be a
And
show.
yeah.
So one thing I would like to mention is there is one company, like one of the big gaming companies, Ubisoft, that's actually moving forward with NFTs faster than the others. So they have a platform called Ubisoft Quartz, and then their latest Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon game, they are going to integrate NFTs into the loot that you get in the game. So like custom guns, skins, cosmetics for your characters. So I'm curious to see how that works, and we'll see, because you can actually buy and sell and trade them with other players. So it's going to be interesting because I assume it's going to be a marketplace where you can buy them, maybe each individual item, or is it going to be like a loot box based where you buy them, you don't know where you're going to get, then you sell them in the NFT market. So it's going to be interesting because people who actually play these games, some people might just buy these games to actually speculate in the NFT space and get some loot. So I think games are going to be, specifically this Ubisoft game, is going to be an interesting experiment where people are just going to buy it just to make money off it potentially.
Interesting. Wouldn't
Yeah.
you say something about GameStop as well?
Yeah, GameStop as well. So GameStop's doing it a bit differently. So they've put a fund together around 100 million, and they're gonna use Immutable X for their NFT marketplace. So essentially, we don't know much details about it, but the reason why they're choosing to use Immutable X versus their other competitors is there's zero gas fees for trading and minting NFTs. So I guess you would only pay gas fees when you're transacting, like switching ownership. So otherwise, there is no gas fees. And the reason why they're adopting this approach is because they want to make sure that they're competitive and have the lowest fees for their gaming items they're going to sell. So we're still not clear on what exactly they're going to sell. What we do know is that they're targeting in-game assets such as digital real estate and in-game skins. So I imagine what's going to happen is, because you know how when you pre-order games from the GameStop, sometimes you get GameStop exclusive content. So I imagine through their marketplace, it's like, hey, buy this game, you're going to get the skin with the game, or you're going to get this cool emoji or avatar or something. So that's what I picture GameStop is probably going to take this approach with to bolster the business. It's like, hey, buy from us, get these NFTs. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's a good idea because it's going to entice people to buy games, particularly from them.
I think with OpenSea, from my experience with it, I think you can use the Ethereum network or you can use the Matic network. So I think if it's not extremely low fee, then it's possibly no fees as well on OpenSea if you use the Matic chain or the Polygon chain as opposed to just regular Ethereum.
Yeah, I think they want to like maybe keep the money themselves of the transactions it's going through. So they probably want a slice of each transaction. So that's why they're probably developing their own marketplace instead of using OpenSea, which is at least my suspicion behind it, right? Because every business is in there to make money. So they're probably taking a slice.
Is Coinbase still trying to buy OpenSea? I think that you were telling me that before.
Yeah, so that was a rumor that was going on. I haven't seen anything updated since then, but we'll definitely keep an eye on that because if that does, that's going to be huge. And I'm not particularly a fan of that because I think it's going to lead to a monopoly, right? Where basically one company is going to dominate the crypto space because already Coinbase is one of the largest exchanges and they're one of the most well funded right now. So if that happens as well, then we could potentially see a monopoly form in crypto, which is very bad for the industry.
Well, not necessarily a monopoly, but you might have a system where there's only a handful of big players. There's always Binance still, and I think Binance they're getting into NFTs as well, and Crypto.com has NFTs.
Yeah, so it won't, I guess monopoly is not the right word, but they're going to dominate, let's say 90% of the market share, hypothetically, because OpenSea is where it's at right now for NFTs. Any other platform has significantly less user base than OpenSea. So it's going to be like a Google effect, right? Google controls 90% of web. These others have the rest of the 10%. So it's de facto a monopoly, but not officially because they're not the only provider.
Let's see. Any other news?
I have actually a list right here of companies that are exploring NFTs and their opinions on them. So Ubisoft is the one that's championing this out of most companies. So they've already, like I said, prepared the Ubisoft Quartz platform, and they've already going to implement this in the next Ghost Recon game. So they're ahead of the pack. GameStop is, developing their marketplace. Square Enix, which is another company, is also exploring NFTs. They haven't really come out with projects per se of what they're trying to do, but they're really liking the play to earn model. So where you play the game to earn NFTs.
So pretty much the game I was mentioning earlier, the Axie Infinity game.
Yeah, but this is like a big AAA company, right? So I assume that they're going to figure out the marketplace. And they're probably not going to release one with a broken marketplace, at least in the beginning, or try not to, because that's going to sabotage their reputation. So that's what Square Enix is up to. And I think what's end up going to happening, how we have those loot box mechanics in games that are getting a lot of controversy right now. I think a lot of these companies are like, hey, what if we abandon these loot boxes and switch to NFT play to earn? Because that won't be classified as loot boxes, but they're still generating money because people will be buying these NFTs. So that's what I suspect why the gaming industry is mostly interested in, because they view this as a way to solve one issue by introducing this type of system. Nintendo has also said that they're interested, but they've basically given no updates regarding it. EA has said that they're the future of the industry. And we all know EA as a scummy company for gaming, unfortunately. They're always viewed as the greedy ones. So I can definitely see them implementing this. Perfect example is like FIFA Ultimate Team or their NHL or Madden games, because they have these fantasy modes where you buy packs to open up players. So I could definitely imagine where they incorporate NFTs into that. So it's like, hey, if I buy these player packs, I can get these players, they're NFTs. So if they're extremely valuable, I might as well just sell them to another player and make some money off of it. So I could definitely see that kind of system being implemented, because EA is like a perfect example of a system where that would work easily, especially in their sports titles. NBA 2K as well. So any sports title game where you collect players, which are basically virtual cards already, the system's easily applicable there. Xbox hasn't really said much. They haven't ruled it out, but are skeptical about this space. So I don't think you'll see anything from Xbox pretty soon. Konami, not much. The only thing they did do is they sold NFTs of Castlevania pixelated art, videos, and music on OpenSea. So clearly they're dabbling in that space. Andrew, have you ever played Castlevania?
No, I'm familiar with it. Yeah, I always get it confused with Castle Wolfenstein.
Oh, that it's very similar, but not the same thing.
They both feature World War II events.
No, Wolfenstein is World War II. Castlevania is, I think, about a vampire.
Oh, okay.
If
So
if we're wrong, correct us.
that's not, well, I know for sure Wolfenstein is a World War II or has to do with that, but I'm nothing. I don't know anything about Castlevania.
All right. So that's basically, I forgot Sony and Take-Two. So Sony has not attempted to incorporate anything in NFTs, and they've given up no indication. However, Sony Music has teamed up with Pink Fong to mint a line of Baby Shark themed NFTs. So Sony as a company has delved into NFTs, but the PlayStation brand for gaming hasn't done anything yet. So I assume because the parent company will be, maybe PlayStation will introduce it at some time. Take Two is a big fan of NFTs. And I know, Andrew, you're a big fan of GTA 5. You keep trying to convince me to play it with you guys all the time. And they're very big in shark cards. I think we could definitely see like a GTA 6 or maybe even GTA 5 introducing NFTs, because I think the business model they have in that game would easily suit NFTs. What are your thoughts?
I'm trying to think how that would work. So GTA, it would be GTA 5 Online or just GTA Online as it's known. The only thing is, what would they sell from GTA Online that would be an NFT? Maybe cars, unique rare cars, I guess. You couldn't really do it with properties unless, well, you could, but it's not an MMORPG. So the GTA Online sessions only hold, I think, 50 people. It's still the same city of Los Santos, but if there's too many people in one session, then you get, pushed to another one, or you can just join your friends in another one. So typically, if you own a building, it's owned by multiple people. In your session, it might only be a handful of people who have it, but across the game, it could be millions of people. So if they wanted to make one building from Los Santos or from the game map truly unique and only sell one version of it, or maybe a handful of versions, I guess they can do that through NFTs.
Yeah, and we already know like they have one of the most booming microtransaction marketplaces. So at least my opinion is, imagine they make a unique cosmetic or a unique suit that you can get in the game or some unique attire. I think if they release, let's say, 100 copies of it, people would buy it like crazy, right? Just considering the GTA 5 community.
I think, yeah, but I could also see in GTA Radio or in the fake billboards and that kind of thing. I can also see them making fun of NFTs because it's always it's very satirical. So we'll see. But would you say that the majority of these NFT games do they all function on kind of like a MMORPG type platform?
Yeah, I would say anything with a lot of loot. So like, I know I'm very familiar with Assassin's Creed. So there's a bunch of different weapons you can collect. So I can just imagine having unique weapons that are NFTs that people would buy and sell and want to own. So I would say any games where there's a lot of collectibles or XP boosts or basically anything where you collect a bunch of stuff. I would say those type of games are well suited for NFTs. So
Yeah,
another game, imagine a Skyrim could easily be, or Skyrim Elder Scrolls Online, that could easily also be another place where NFTs are easily applicable. And in those type of games, like I know what's the one, Fallout 76, which had a really crappy launch. However, you can basically design your own like little city or house in the entire game. So imagine you can have like custom pieces within your house, kind of like those real estate NFTs we talked about. where you can own a piece of land and build a house. This would also be similar to that, where you can have in the game, you can put maybe a custom trophy or a custom art piece on your wall within this game that people would pay money to get. So that's where I can see it being applied.
Yeah, I can definitely see that in GTA. Some of the people I play with, all they do is collect cars. They buy every car that's available in the game. So if it's a rare car that you can only get, I can see it. Yeah, I just don't know how much someone's willing to pay in the GTA world for something like that.
Are you familiar with like whales in games?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the concept. Are there whales in GTA? Yeah, for sure. But the thing is, in GTA, there's a lot of modding. So a lot of people who have all the like the yachts and the most expensive cars and that kind of thing. It could be just because they got the money from modding. So they'll have to fix that first, or have maybe a different type of currency or something.
But this is the thing, NFT solves that problem because let's say you only release 1,000 copies of it. Now you have to pay real money to get them. So these people have no way of farming. They have to pay in real money to get them.
Yeah.
So from the developer's perspective, the system is great because now these people, these cheaters in the game, as the game developers would view them, can no longer just farm to get this. So that is an advantage that they can't overcome. The only problem I can foresee is if they make these things too rare, people will be mad. It's like, oh, I can't get anything in this game. So they will definitely need to balance that. And another thing I was thinking about is because I know in Assassin's Creed you can upgrade items. So I was just wondering how would that work? Imagine you have a bronze NFT and you want to upgrade it to a silver NFT. How would that work? That's a very interesting concept as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I guess you would have whatever it was, say it's a weapon or something. You would just have a completely new item that would replace your old one, and maybe just make the old one like inaccessible or something like that.
Or no one owns it or something, right? Because this is the way I picture. Imagine a pure NFT type of game, right? So your resources to upgrade your weapon are also NFTs. So let's say you need 3 silver and let's say a gold ingot to get a silver graded weapon. So you would need to spend these NFTs potentially to get this silver item. So who knows what will happen? Who knows how that will work? I picture that NFT that you own and the NFTs you used to spend to create this or craft this item, those will no longer exist. I think they'll just be wiped out of the system because I think they want to balance the economy. Because if they put that back in the pool, then like you run into a situation like we described previously where there's rampant inflation, right? Because all those items are just more and more and more and more available.
So, I think the most interesting game that would, if they incorporate NFTs, would I think be very popular would be Nintendo and Pokemon. If they had Pokemon NFTs for sale.
Yeah, Nintendo has expressed interest in them, so that'll be definitely. Hey, if there's a game with NFTs with Pokemon Andrew, we have to get in play. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I just remember as a kid, they were selling Charizard cards for $25,000, and this was many many years ago. So I think I think some of those cards are still worth the same now, if not more.
Way
So
more. There's some that are worth 500,000 now. Charizard Mint 10, I think PSA graded, are worth over $1 million. Some of them.
and then you're a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, right?
Huge Yu-Gi-Oh fan.
Is there any talks of Yu-Gi-Oh going NFT?
Not as I know of. All I know is they released a new game. I think it's called Master Duel, and it's traditional microtransactions. No NFTs. But I think Yu-Gi-Oh and card games is another great opportunity for NFTs. We haven't seen any major companies do that just yet.
Yeah, so I think for card-based games, it makes the most sense because it's so similar to the way that those game economies had always worked.
Yeah, it's so easy to implement too, right? Because each card is assigned a rarity. So let's say you have 100, let's say you open up 100 packs in the game. Based on percentages, you know where you're basically going to get, right? So Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic, all these games could easily implement these systems. I don't think there's too much work there.
Yep.
There's even some talks of like online casinos using NFTs, which I find fascinating. So the chips that you get in the game are actually NFTs. They're not real dollars.
Well, I know that our business partner, he was talking to me about, I don't remember the name of the coin, but he had invested in a speculative coin because some online casinos said they might start using that as like their standard gambling currency. But I don't see why you would need an NFT versus another crypto, any crypto or one that was, specific for gambling versus an NFT. I don't know if that makes the most sense.
I'm going to tell you why. They're trying to circumvent the game rules because you're not gambling your money, you're gambling that NFT, right? So they're probably trying to circumvent some gambling rules in the country. Remember, kind of like how microtransactions and like loot boxes in FIFA, how there's a lot of controversy. Some people are saying it's gambling. I think it's just a little loophole to say that it's not gambling.
Possible. Oh, I was gonna ask you, what do you know about loot boxes? I know vaguely of the concept, but I don't know that much about it. Can you explain to everyone what loot boxes are?
Yeah, absolutely. So anyone who's not in the gaming industry, loot boxes are basically a what I would describe as surprise mechanic within games. So when let's say I'm opening up a pack of hockey players, and there'd be a bunch of flashy mechanics, and I would, for example, some players. Rarity is obviously based. So, for example, like a Wayne Gretzky or a Sidney Crosby is going to be worth much, much more than some no-name player on the Phoenix Coyotes, right? So that's how it's structured. So loot boxes, the rewards are totally randomized. You don't know what you're going to get. And as you open up these packs, you would get players based on these rarities. And the controversy is because of the way I've implemented those flashes and basically the stimulation of opening these packs simulates gambling. And that's the argument people are making, is that the surprise mechanics and loot boxes are gambling because you're opening up packs and spending money to potentially get a reward. Is that a good enough explanation, Andrew?
Yeah, that makes sense. So I don't think there was such a thing in GTA, but you would have to buy kind of like GTA shark cards, which are kind of like gift cards to spend in the game to use in the GTA world. Would be very similar, and then you would either use that money to buy loot boxes or to increase your chances of getting loot boxes or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, makes sense.
So remember there was that article like a couple months, maybe like last year, where there was a company in Ukraine or a mining facility that was just generating FIFA points or FIFA coins.
Oh yeah, yeah. So there is I think it was Ukraine. They found a illegal mining operation because I think they were siphoning, I don't know, electricity from the city or something without authorization. I think it was underground too, and they found hundreds or thousands of GPUs. There might have been some ASICs in there, and they also found a lot of PlayStation 5s, and they were explaining how that worked. I think they were all mining rare FIFA characters and then selling them.
Yeah, so I think they were mining of FIFA coins, if I recall correctly. Sorry to correct you there. So essentially, FIFA coins is so in the FIFA, you use FIFA points to so when you spend your real money, you get FIFA points that allows you to buy packs. To buy packs, you can either use coins or the FIFA points, which you use to spend your real money. So they were selling FIFA coins, which is basically the in-game currency. And so a lot of people, what they do is they buy accounts that, for example, have 10 million coins in them, and they build whatever team they want. So that's what these farming facility was done for FIFA, was they would be collecting these coins, putting them on accounts, and selling them. So for example, for 10 million, you have to pay $100 or something. So that's how they're generating their money.
And you generate the in-game FIFA coins by playing some sort of match or something like that, right?
Yeah, you could just play a match, but you could legit just open the game and have no one do anything for the whole match, and you get some reward. That's probably what they were doing.
I read that they wrote like a simple script just to have the game automated. So I think that goes back to what we were saying about that first game, Axie Infinity. Just someone could probably automate some of these games to generate currency in the game without having a person or anyone, and just have multiple setups and then make money that way.
And the thing is, this is going to become more and more common, and as NFTs get implemented, because now we're adding a financial incentive for these people to do stuff like this. So it's going to be tough because these gaming companies are going to are going to want to combat it, but it's not necessarily illegal to do this. So,
Yeah. And it's also not the demographic they want, I think, because it doesn't create a sustainable game world. You want people who actually want to play and have fun.
yeah, because all these people care about is cashing out. However, Andrew, the case with FIFA, I think it is still sustainable because there is a demand for people. It's like I don't want to spend money and not know who I get. I'd rather buy an account with 10 to 20 million coins and just play the game and just buy the players I want and not worry about it. So I think it is technically there is a demand and it's not necessarily detracting from the game.
But it's also because the way the game's designed, or the way the game economy is designed, had FIFA made it so that you could sell those FIFA coins on some sort of currency exchange, it would be a different story. It's just like there's nothing else you can do with it other than buy things in game. So and FIFA is a popular game. So
Yeah, very popular. I think it's the most popular sports game in the world.
yeah.
There's like tournaments that people organize in person where people are playing on big screens and there's people in the crowd watching. It's crazy how popular that's gotten.
So the issue is with conventional play to earn, whereas FIFA, it's play to earn, but it's still trapped in the system. You can't cash out, so you don't really earn in real life. So I think the issue is with the play to earn, where people can potentially make a living doing these games. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, NFTs make that super easy, right? Because now I no longer have to go through these loopholes to sell my account or do this. I could just directly sell my currency and on an exchange and take my money out. Hey, but we might see professional gamers from this. That might be actually be a benefit though, because there'll be a whole new career potentially opened up. Imagine a professional FIFA player, and now they can offer prize money. So let's say there's a million coins at stake at this tournament. And let's say a million coins translates to like 20 grand in prize money in the real world. So now people are going to have a huge incentive to play and actually win these tournaments, right?
Well, that's very interesting because, up till now, if you told someone you're a professional gamer in the early days, if you told your parents that, maybe they wouldn't understand what that is. And now, if you say you're a professional gamer, only the top players of that system can make any money doing that. So people will automatically, assume that you're very, very good at that game. But with these play to earn games, with say Axie Infinity, anyone could have been making 50,000 US dollars a year, playing this game daily. And you can tell people you're a professional player. People say, what do you do for a living? I play Axie Infinity. But you're not an elite player by any means. You're just a player, but you're still making a living. So it definitely allows people to make a living doing very different things that our parents never would have imagined.
And I think it's gonna be a generational thing too, right? Where like obviously we're not kids anymore in this generation, but I think kids growing up saying, "Hey, I can just play games for a living, right? And then make 50 to maybe 100,000 if they're really good." So we could see a totally new career or a class of professional players, right, that we haven't seen before. So I think that's the fascinating part about this NFTs that people are totally missing.
You're going to get a bigger pool of people, because for anyone else who wants to seriously become a professional gamer, make a living, it's a gamble, right? Because similar to professional sports, you know that only the best make it to the top. So some people might not get into it because they don't want to waste their time, or they think that it's not worth the risk and they could be pursuing a career doing something else. But if you can make money from day one in these play to earn systems, then it'll become more, there'll be more interest, and then you'll have a bigger pool of people, and it'll be much more competitive at the top.
Absolutely. And there'll just be so much more people into it. And then think about this, because there's so much more interest in it, because you can actually make a living there, then sponsorships come in and a whole bunch of other things, right? Not just limited to that. So maybe one day instead of watching sports, there'll be a virtual sports channel. It's like, oh, I know this player playing this player, it might.
Well, that kind of does exist. I drove by an esports bar before, so that stuff is popping up here and there. But just NFTs make it just adds another layer on top of that. I was a very good Pokemon player growing up. Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. I actually never played Beyond Yellow, but I was very good. Like, relative to the people I play with at school, right? And now, if I could have made a living doing that, that would have been crazy.
Hey, we wouldn't be here talking about this if you can make a living doing that right now. We all be gamers, let's be honest.
Yeah. So let's keep an eye out on what new games. Maybe you and I will get into one of those. We can take up a part-time job on the weekends
Yeah.
playing at NFT games.
Yeah, you'll be a professional Pokemon gamer. I'll be a professional Yu-Gi-Oh gamer, and then there we go.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyways, that I guess that's it for this podcast. Next week, we'll hopefully have a guest on the show, and then we'll have another more interesting conversations to come. Just make sure end of March there will be that fashion show that we will be covering and streaming live. Hopefully, that'll be fun.
Yeah. That's the plan.
All right. See you guys next time.